counterintelligence brief, the threat that walks among us. This is great for companies joining us live and virtually. In this session, our panelists will examine critical points of entry for bad actors seeking to exploit your companies. We'll learn how to identify adversarial capital and protect your company from investors with malicious intent, as well as how to stay alert and take proactive measures to secure trusted capital. So our two panelists today will include David Rader. He is the Deputy Director in the Office of Foreign Investment Review at the Department of Defense, as well as Catherine Kalinsky, and she's a Program Analyst for the Policy Planning Team at the DIU. So welcome up, both David and Catherine. Hi, David.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the stage at Fed Supernova. We're so happy to have you here today, guys. I'm going to step away for a second and let you take it off.
Great. So I'll get things kicked off here. So just thank you so much for taking the time to learn about the actions that you and your company can take to protect your company's long-term viability. Well, overall, Chinese investment into the United States has decreased. Chinese backed venture capital, private equity, and other forms of risk capital continue to flow into the U.S. startup ecosystem. Well, the United States prides itself in being a free and open market and generally welcomes foreign capital. With respect to capital from China, it is sometimes difficult to disambiguate the sources and intention behind the investment. China has a history of making strategic investments into industries that underwrite future economic competitiveness and national security applications, from AI to robotics to synthetic biology. These investments are backed by state capital and are designed to transfer technology and know-how back to China through both licit and illicit means. This has far-reaching impacts on the profit and sustainability of U.S. companies and jobs. So what does this mean for your firms, and why does DIU care? Luckily, we have David Rader here, who can shed light on these activities, their impact, and how to work with the DoD going forward. Your actions today can make your company and product offerings a resource to help strengthen our nation's economy and overall security. David, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm going to start here by sharing my screen. Hopefully it's populating there. There, see that? Okay, great. I think we're in business now. Hey, first I want to say thanks to Catherine for kicking it off here. Thanks to our partners at DIU, as well as Capital Factory, and all the attendees here today. I want to kind of start this off by there we go, on the slide 2 here. I don't know how, there we go, how responsive this is. Okay, great. So this slide is to talk about some of kind of the unrecognized threats that are present out there. My office, the Office of Foreign Investment Review, we're the representative to CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, 16 agency interagency panel designed to review transactions that might pose a threat to our national security or economic security. But also within my office, the Office of Foreign Investment Review, we have a whole host of other things we look at and work with our services and our commercial partners, academia, and ultimately ensuring a robust and resilient DIB, or defense industrial base. So traditionally, people are looking at transactions within my wheelhouse, but we also do look at the human aspect and the cyber aspect. And those are two things I like to pass along to companies to think about. And as we move through these slides here, we'll give a little more color around it. It also includes on the vertical there on the right, you'll see academia, different financial partners, and people have to be kind of understanding of how they fit into both value chains and the overall defense industrial base and innovation ecosystem in the U.S. and in the world, to be honest. So moving to slide 3 here. So some of the Chinese, and so I guess I should caveat this to say, we talk about the threat from China that exists through these slides, but it can come from other places. Both countries wittingly and unwittingly might transfer technology and might ultimately degrade your capabilities or the defense innovation ecosystem which exists. So the things identified here are different attack angles that can occur, that exist relative to your company. And so what I want to highlight is that just because someone might, close a door doesn't mean a window isn't still open. So, you might say, okay, well, we got approached by a Chinese venture fund. We're not comfortable with it, so we close that. But we did hire two, chief technology officers to come in as senior advisors and researchers and help us with our IP portfolio. Well, you might have closed the door, but the window might still be open. And so this attack surface here is identified. There's a lot of different ways to do it for our adversaries to have access to your company or IP. And so there's a lot of things that companies need to think about in a more holistic kind of approach to this, more 360-degree environment, both vertically and horizontally. I'll be honest, our office, full stop, we support foreign direct investment. It's a great thing for our country and for our industry, but we do aim to stop the other side of that, which is adversarial transferring technology and exploiting that. You'll see on the right here, we have some comments about what happens, like, paying premiums for U.S. acquisitions, some of the private equity firms, or the way funds can be structured. It can really, have opaque ownership structures and kind of mask who's behind it and who will ultimately benefit, the UBO, the ultimate beneficial owner requirement. So it's something to think about as you head into both this discussion as well as the way your company fits into the bigger picture. And so slide 4 here, I'm hoping it's displaying with my talking. So, there's the bottom-up approach, which is individual investors, companies reach out to us. There's also the top-down approach, which is you as a company or an investor or entrepreneur should be thinking about, made in China 2025, what that policy looks like, what they're pursuing. Same with military civil fusion. Although you might say, hey, I make a widget over here, that has nothing to do with a tank, but you might not realize that through the complex supply chains or just the military civil fusion, which is occurring both in emerging technologies, AI, machine learning, 5G, 6G, so on, that you might be a contributor to that, or some product you have might ultimately contribute to that. And then ultimately, the layering of corporate national security laws. The way laws are written in China, writ large, mean ultimately that individuals and entities report to the CCP. If you look at Didi, if you look at Jack Ma / Alibaba, if you look at what just happened with HNA, if you look at China, that Wall Street Journal article from the other day about China having anti-lawsuit injunctions so that U.S. companies, if they try to sue Chinese companies or partners in China, will be denied, legal recourse. And then ultimately, you have to consider that if the companies and the entities are susceptible to reporting to the Chinese government, either directly or indirectly, that also means that your customers, others can be removed from the supply chain or have pressures that you might not realize ultimately negatively impact your company or your product or your thoughts, your innovation. And so the reason I bring that up is to say that, you have to be very cognizant of your partners and who they ultimately report to, whether they like to or not. So here's some case studies, and I don't want to go into these too much. If you Google Cisco suing Huawei, if you Google how China stole an airplane, there's a lot of articles and a lot of information which exists out there that can give you anecdotes of and specific examples, announcements by DOJ and the Bureau, DOD, others, that capture different times where U.S. technology was lifted, shifted, stolen, and borrowed, however you want to describe it, from U.S. partners and U.S. partners to our competitors. I want to make sure that you can still hear me. Catherine, you went quiet. I'm not sure if you went on mute. So, a great example in that bottom right of August Skyworks, where 7 professors came over from China. They were indicted. One of them, I believe, we're currently going through with justice. But ultimately, it's a broad attack surface. And again, to my earlier comment about your widget, it doesn't go in a tank. What do I care? But there might be other areas in which you're being pursued by China, by Chinese entities, or Russian, or Iranian, or anywhere in between. You might not be aware of how you fit into that structure. So going on to my next slide here, it's the same with Huawei. So the Huawei example, a lot of people, if they were to say, if you look at that US column on the right there, and you were to say, hey, I make a modem, it's commercially off the shelf, you can buy it at Best Buy, so who cares if I partner with Huawei? What you might not realize is you're ultimately contributing to their entire vertically integrated system, their supply chain. And so what they can do with that is once they build a competitive system, they can carve you out of it later. They can deny you access to future markets. They can push you out of that value chain. So you're no longer a supplier to Huawei. They've replicated it. they've undercut you, they're just pushing you out, and you have no recourse really. And then you're also removed from competitive markets because you can't compete with the price point. And so I always say, it's that anecdote or that math word problem I heard as a kid, which is, would you have $1 million today, or 1 cent that doubles every day for 30 years? Well, that 1 cent that doubles every day is worth 5.3 million, versus a 1 million. So you obviously would want that. And I say that to say, instead of thinking about the short term, hey, we have a contract with Huawei, we're supplying the modems, we got $1 million. You might not realize that if you weren't to do that, you would have 5.3 million over long term, but you got yourself cut out of that supply chain, that value chain. And ultimately what you thought was a partner is now a competitor, and you have denial to certain markets or areas. So some of the best practices, across the business community and across, DoD, and the defense innovation ecosystem and defense industrial base, however you want to describe it, is really, one, due diligence is a two-way street. If a company is going to ask probative questions of you, if they want access to your data room, then you have a right to know who they are, where they fit into that, with it, whether it's a grand strategy from China or just from you as a company to company or an investor to, inventor relationship. You have the right to ask those questions, and you should be very, it should be, it should have a level of reciprocity there in the degree in which you pull it apart. So a lot of the advice here you see on the screen, I'm going to kind of clip through them here shortly. It's broad because, on this, in this session right now, there's probably somebody out there who's a sole proprietor who makes a widget all the way up to big, Fortune 500 corporations. So it's hard to give a single piece of advice to everyone. But one thing I would say, conduct meaningful due diligence, scrutinize the ultimate structure, assess the bigger picture, implement cybersecurity strategies. I'm not a cyber guy, and I won't pretend to be. It'd be a waste of everybody's time. But, the red cell capabilities to make sure, your cyber is up to date, you're challenging it. You have a good partner there. Actually monitoring your cybersecurity systems, it's an area that's grossly neglected by a lot of companies. I understand how profit and loss lines work, P&L, and that's not always an area people dump money into, but it can be very critical in protecting your IP and making sure that your posture, your economic posture, the health of your company, let alone your position within the DIB, within the innovation ecosystem, remains intact. Isolating intellectual property. Data rooms are a place we see a lot of leakage where companies say, well, we wanted to show them what we do. We want a good, we want a fair valuation. We want a good price, which is completely fair. But they lose a lot of tech through the data room. And so a lot of data room defensive measures are critical for companies. Big thing is engage with U.S. government early. There are a lot of folks out there, whether it's Commerce, Treasury, State, FBI, DHS, Patent and Trade Office. It's important to reach out to them. So CFIUS, that half that we sit on, there's a Treasury website that's pretty robust. There's contact numbers, there's inboxes, there's all the information I think you could want. State Department too, they have, and Commerce, whether it's ITA or Biz, they too have pretty good receptive measures there if you reach out to them. But it's about reaching out to them in advance. Companies come to us in that 11th hour saying, hey, in 20 days we're closing and we're not sure about this. And you think, well, it takes us a little while to even wrap our head around your company, the problem set. So it helps us if we're engaged early. Technically my office falls within acquisition and sustainment, A&S, industrial policy. We have an industrial policy outreach and engagement office. We have a front office. We have foreign investment review, other partners there, where it's R&E, research and engineering, INS, intelligence and security, or DITSA, any of those kind of partners. I'm sure if you put a hand up and said, hey, we think we make a cool widget here, we think it matters, and we're getting some adversarial capital, or we're looking for best practices, there's some good things the government should share. So a few other things too are the actual services. So if you have a contract with Army or Navy or whomever, they have big noise there. Sorry, they have CFIUS shops, Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. They have POCs. They have contracting officers whom you should engage with. DIU, Defense Innovation Unit, InQtel, DARPA, any of those partners too. They both offer offensive and defensive responses, or they can help navigate within USG some of those. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and
Great. So I think one question.
Sorry, so one more.
Yeah.
Sorry, as I switched through, I thought I lost you guys. And then I just want to say too, within DoD, there's Trusted Capital, there's Title III, there's Mantech, Cyber, STTR, and then our commercial partners. So it's a whole range of offerings on defensive and offensive. So I'll stop there. Turn back to you, Catherine.
No, that's great. I think you gave a list of a number of different activities that companies can take. So what would you prioritize as those top 3 actions if a company needs to act today? What should they prioritize?
Yeah, good question. First, I would definitely create a list of questions and due diligence processes and procedures for companies to know your partners, to know even upstream suppliers, to know downstream end users, and to have a better understanding of where you fit, or whom you'd be working with potentially. The second I would focus on is gain a better understanding of your role in that ecosystem. Like I said, the Chinese grand strategies or the U.S. defense industrial base, really look and think about end users for your products, end users for that technology. Sure, AI has commercial, normal, applications. It also has military applications. And just because you're focused on the commercial healthcare side of AI doesn't mean there's not a military application that somebody else wants or that we want to protect. And then you're going to call from Treasury or DoD one day and say, hey, who's your partner here? And then lastly is, again, engage USG early and often. We have great tracking mechanisms. We have great engagement, but putting a hand up and saying, hey, we're looking for guidance here. We want to do what's right for our company. We want to do what's right for USG. We want to do, best position. We work best with a good runway there to get our plane off.
That having that I would call it feedback loop seems like it's very important, just to keep those lines of communication open and kind of preventing those I would call it last minute surprises. It seems like that really is a key part. So I guess one last question would be, moving forward, how should companies and vendors, reach out? Do they reach out directly to your office? Where are those specific resources? For example, with DIU, we work mainly with open solicitation. So really for vendors reaching out to us, when we post a solicitation is really the most effective way, for us to engage, because we can engage on a specific problem set. But for you, when's the right time to engage? And how do you reach out? How do they reach out to you?
Yeah. So if you have contracts with USG, reach out to your POC there and say, hey, we either have a good thing or a bad thing to talk about. If you don't, no big deal. Reach out to industrial policy. If you think that's an investment thing, look at CFIUS and see if you want to reach out to them. If you go to, OSD, Office of Secretary of Defense, ANS, industrial policy, any of those things, and you look for, engagement, if you look for the email inbox or the number, there's somebody to call, and that gets routed to us, and we can look at it and we can engage with you. We do road shows. We just came out from a week in California. We're going to go to New York and talk to financial partners. We're going to get to other hotspots for innovation, LA, Austin, Boston, and go there. We're hoping to meet with more people and let them know that, you actually have a trusted partner in DoD. I think there's a new sheriff in town on this approach about how we're working with companies to help navigate them through this and be the other half of the coin. And so I encourage people, I don't know everybody's views on working with the government, but give me a shot, give us a shot, reach out if you got a problem, and let's go from there.
It sounds good. I think, I guess one last question would just be, on the offensive side, what are resources that, defense innovation, I would say is one tool or, one way for companies to engage and, sell and tailor their products for the Department of Defense. Does industrial policy have similar, lines of effort going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So industrial policy is Title III. That's a sustainment fund. That's to grow production lines, capabilities. tech, manufacturing technology, that's to get better yields. That's to get better machinery in there to get better, high skilled, high trained engineers or professionals. There's CIBR and STTR, Small Business Innovation Research, Science and Tech. There's AFWorks, SoftWorks. And so, there's a world which exists where everybody's used to the open solicitation. Hey, I didn't fit the box on the AFWorks ask for 20.2, but there's the other world of it too, which is if you work with them early, or you can help kind of show what the company does. A lot of those things are highly receptive to. And so again, reach out to us at the OSD level, and we can try to help navigate that, or with other partners. We have commercial partners through Trusted Capital too, who say, hey, we're looking to invest in this space. Any companies that come out, and if State Department, Commerce, any of our partners too, if they say, yeah, they'll pass them along. They can connect those dots there. It is very case by case, because government can't be everything to everyone, but we definitely have to play a bigger role in the space on the offensive and the responsive side. Absolutely.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you coming out today and spending the time. Do you have any last comments to the audience, and then that will be a wrap.
Yeah. My last comment is just to say, why should you care to the public, to the innovators, the investors, and the companies out there? I'll tell you, I think we have a good awareness now that we need to play a bigger role in this, outsized from what we've been, and that we want companies or investors or the ecosystem to know that you have a partner both to prevent the loss of IP and of future revenue. It's not about just today; it's about the longevity of this. We want to help companies protect their market presence in the United States and in the world. We want to make sure that those jobs, that revenue, all those good things stay intact within the defense industrial base and accessible to the United States, and to keep our industry strong. I mean, our economy is amazing for that. And lastly, my comment would be just, the costs associated with unwinding or fixing or repairing something. If you lose that tech, if it goes out the door, if you get pulled into CFIUS, or, you have an IP lawsuit, it's far more expensive and painful to do it later once things have gone wrong than it is to do up front and say, hey, government, we think we've got something cool here, or we think we've got a problem here, help us. That's a lot more from a business standpoint. That's a lot better of a decision to make than it is to try to glue it back together after the base breaks. So, yeah, I think that's it for me. But I appreciate the time. It's been great being here. I think Bobby's joining us to navigate through.
Well, thanks so much, and look forward to talking with you again in the future.
Great, thanks.
David, Catherine, thank y'all so much for your time this afternoon. What a great discussion again. And we have more coming up for you after this.